this island.
Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. In this video I'm going to show you how to quickly register your full album with all the songs in it. Instead of one song at a time, you can register all your songs at once for a particular album. So here we go. First thing you're gonna do, you go to the copyright website, the official government copyright website. You can find it by searching for something like copyright.gov. This is the official website where you would copyright your work. By the way, as soon as you create your work, your original work, you have the copyright automatically. But a lot of people get it confused because when you register your work, it also gives you official certificate from the United States federal government saying that you are the owner, the copyright holder of this work, and it entitles you up to $150,000 worth of statutory damages. That's financial compensation plus any attorney fees that might be incurred in case somebody infringes upon your copyright. You can actually sue them for money. That's what it means. But if you don't register with the government, you can still try to, have them not use your work, but you will not be eligible for statutory damages, which is like I mentioned, up to $150,000 depending on how your music or lyrics were used. Okay, so here we are in this official government website. Then you go upper left corner, register a copyright. Okay, then you have to create an account with this website. So if you don't have an account, create an account. Otherwise, log in. The screen that you're going to see is going to be the opening screen. So to create a new case, you will go register a work, standard application. You have these other options, but for the type of work that we're registering, which is a music album with multiple songs in it, we're going to click standard application, which is recommended for most works. And then we're going to click here. You're going to read over all of this. Make sure you understand it. I know it's a lot of text, but by the way, I'm not a lawyer. This is not professional advice. I'm just showing you how I registered my multiple albums. We're going to click Start Registration. Okay, so this is important. Type of work. You're going to select here. Is it a literary work, like a book? Is it visual arts, like a painting? Is it a sound recording? Yes, it is in our case. But in certain cases, if you're a musician, it might also be a work of the performing arts. So it's usually one or the other or both that you have to pick, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So motion picture, obviously that's movies, and then single series issue, I don't even know, that's unrelated. So here's the main thing. If and only if you're the creator of all of the lyrics and all the chord progressions and the recording of that song, you haven't given your rights away to somebody else, like another label or another person or entity. So therefore, if and only if you're the only copyright holder to all the lyrics, all the chord progressions, and the sound recording, you're going to select sound recording. This is important. On the other hand, if you only are the owner of the copyright to the lyrics or like the chord progressions, so underlying structure of the song, like sheet music, for example, melodies and stuff like that, and not the actual sound recording, then you would select this option. So for example, if you're the composer or if you're a composer and lyricist, okay, but you're not the producer who recorded and produced the track, then you cannot select sound recording, because sound recording is the copyright of the actual recording of that song. Whether or not it was written, the lyrics by you or not, you know, it matters. So again, work of the performing arts, if you're only the lyricist, not the guy behind the studio recording it, unless of course you have other agreements and you have that copyright to the master of the recording. So if you're just the lyricist, you wrote the lyrics but did not record it, then you would select work of the performing arts. And then lastly, if you're all of the above, like you recorded the song, which is in my case, I'm the producer, I self-produce all my music, I'm the lyricist, I wrote all the lyrics, I wrote all the chord structures and the changes and the melodies in the song. So if you're like me, you will go to sound recording, and when you do that, it actually will copyright not just the master sound recording, but it will also copyright your lyrics and your you know, like chord structures, from my understanding. And so in my case, I'm going to be selecting sound recording. Instead of having to fill out two separate applications for the same release, you can fill it out with just one application under sound recording. So you don't need to do the work of the visual art separately, as some people on YouTube pointed out incorrectly. And then you agree, you read all of this, then you click the check mark on the bottom, you agree that you've read, and you click continue in the upper left corner. Okay, so now this is on the left you see a menu here. This is basically all the steps that you're gonna go through, and then once it's completed, you'll see check marks here. Not all of these steps are mandatory, but some of them are very important. Like the first step, type of work, very important. You have to make sure you select the right one. Titles. This is going to be the title of your album, and also the titles of the songs. Some people I've watched, they don't do the titles of the songs, they just do the title of the album, and they submit all the songs during the upload phase, but I like to keep it clean. And so we're going to start with the album title, or if it's a collection of unreleased music, it's going to be, you know, you can title it whatever you want to title it. It's just going to be the title of everything. So think of it as like a book, you know, and then your songs are going to be like the chapters of your book or the pages of your book. Okay, so we're going to click new here. Important screen. You have two things you got to do. Make sure you read over everything, and then type of title, you have to select it. Okay, so it's going to be title of work being registered. This is what you're registering is, in my case, it's going to be the name of the album, which is going to be 432 Hertz Music. Okay, so, and then you click save. Okay, and then it's going to take you back to the screen. So once you have this title of work being registered, then you do the same thing, but for each song you change this to contents title, because each of your song is going to be a separate contents title. It's what's contained in your main title that you're registering, which is your album or a collection of works. So we can call it song 1, for example, and I'll show you exactly how I did it for my album. So this is the basic of it, and you click save, and then you click add new. Okay, so let's go back to the main. Now in the main screen, under working cases, we have a case number that's already automatically assigned here, with the date and title of the work that we just created, and the type of case, which is a sound recording of the album, and then standard formats. So having that said, we're gonna open this case now because we registered the songs, and I'm just gonna show you which songs we added each song one by one. And as you can see in the upper left here, we have the name of the album, and that is the title of work being registered. Again, it doesn't have to be an album, it can be a collection of songs. Just make sure it's from the same year if it has not been published. If it's been published, like if you distributed it to iTunes through CD Baby or TuneCore, then it's a published work, and you have to specify when it was published, which is the next section right here in the upper left, publication completion. So you say when it was published, whether it's published or not. So in my case it's yes. Year of completion, publication, which is going to be the year you released it. Nation of first publication, that's self-explanatory, and date of first publication. So this is the official drop date of the album. And then so after that, so after you complete the titles, like we just did, listing the name of the album or your collection of songs, and the actual songs, although not everybody does it, but I like to do it. It just looks neater when you list each song, and under type it's going to be contents title. Okay, so that's an important thing to put here. And then you just go through all the steps. You can save it for later. As you can see, you can go back, you can continue, etc. So okay, so we talked about publication. We click continue. The next screen that it's going to take you to is the authors. So this is important. In my case, I'm going to be the author because I am the copyright holder and I created this work, all of the works inside of it. So you can, if you're the author of this copyright, then you can click add me, and you should have a profile already registered under my profile with all your information, and then it's going to ask you whether or not work is for hire. In my case, no, I just work for myself. And then if it's anonymous and stuff like that, no, it's not anonymous. I put my name. Pseudonym is like a stage name, artist name, and then sound recording, check mark, and then other lyrics, music, arrangements. That way you don't have to file a separate application for the performing arts, which would be the case if you only created the lyrics. We're gonna look into detail the authorship page. So you have to put either first name, last name, or organization. If it was made for like an organization, and that's the author, but in my case it's myself, citizenship, or where you live. Domicile is where you live, so it's either or, not both. And then if you're using like a stage name on the album cover, for example, in my case that was Pasha 808 is the artist name, so that would be considered my pseudonym, and you have to click pseudonymous, check mark, and you put your pseudonym. So in my case it's the artist name on the album cover, which is Pasha 808, which is obviously different from my legal name, so you have to specify that here. If you want to keep it anonymous, then you would check it here, but in my case I don't want to be anonymous. And the next important step, you click save. It's actually takes you to this screen right here, still under authors, but as you can see here, you select what you created. So if you created the sound recording, which is the master, if you're like self-produced it, for example, in my case I self-produced all my releases. I recorded them, produced them, mixed them, mastered them. So I check here because the copyright for sound recording belongs to me. And then it's very important under other to specify what other contributions to the copyright to the work you have made. So in my case, I'm also the songwriter, so it would be the lyrics. I'm also the composer. That would be the music, so chord structures, arrangement, chord progressions, and so forth, as well as melodies. So I specify all of those under other, and I just put album cover art just in case, although it's, you know, not really related to the recording or the actual song, but it is part of the album, so I just put album cover art just in case. You click save, and then you can edit or delete. So in my case, it's just one author. Of course, if you have a band and multiple people contributed to the lyrics and the sound recording, you have to list them all here. So there's multiple authors, but in my case, just one. And then the next screen is claimants. Claimants are, you're the, you know, the copyright originator, the copyright author is the original claimant. So you can add yourself, just like in the previous screen. Make sure you read everything just to understand it. Another claimant can be like another member of the band, for example, or if you gave away certain rights to somebody and they have a claim on a copyright and they're not the original author, you would list them here. So when you're done, you click continue. Limitations of claim. This basically limits your claim if it's based on previously registered materials, previously published material in the public domain, which doesn't really have a copyright status, or material not owned by this claimant. So if none of those above apply to you, you skip that, and I skip that, and then rights and permissions. So this is who, basically a contact number. It doesn't have to be you. It can be your agent. It can be your grandma if you want her to be. If somebody wants to get in touch with you about your copyrighted works, they can reach you through here. Obviously, I believe you can leave it blank, but I mean, why would you? It's good to have some kind of contact, right? Just in case. And then, so continue. I just put myself under the correspondence. Also ask for address, so you have to know that this is going to be publicly visible. So if you're not comfortable with showing your information to the public, you can hire an agent or someone else to be the correspondent. So we click continue, and it takes us to the mail certificate. So this is where your copyright certificate is going to be mailed once it's completed. So I just put my address because I want them to mail it to me. Next one is special handling. I don't require any special handling. There's no need for it in my case. So I just leave everything blank here and click continue. Special handling is optional, and it even says it in the upper right. So certification, now you just have to, this is your electronic signature basically. You have to read all of this and click the check mark once you're done and agreed, and you put your name as a electronic signature. Click continue. Okay, so now it's giving us the review. It starts with the case summary, case number, contact, type of application. So all the details that you just entered, it's all in one screen now, and you can just review it by scrolling down. Make sure everything is good, make sure everything is correct, there's no mistakes. So once that is done, you can save it as a template too, in case you want to register multiple albums, maybe with not all of these songs, but like other type of songs. You just change the title of the contents title, and it'll be a lot easier. That way you don't have to redo this for every album, because that is kind of a lot of, you know, inputs. It's not too crazy, but still. And then the next step, after you review submission and everything looks good, all the check marks are in, you're gonna click pay right here. After you pay, and only after you pay, you're allowed to submit your work, which is going to be your MP3 files or any other format that's acceptable. I'm just going to do it in an MP3 file. I believe there is a 500 megabyte upload limit, and some users have been saying that they only allow like 15 songs at a time or something like that. So if you have a lot of songs, think about that so you don't have to redo it. So just do it maybe like in small batches. So I have 19 songs in this release, and I'm going to do it in batches, like maybe like 10 songs, wait for them to upload, and then 9 songs. And once the payment goes through, I paid with a credit card, You'll be prompted to go to upload your files, and you click the green button. You can select multiple files if you have more than one. In my case, this album or EP has 5 songs, so I select them all, and then I click open, and after that we just make sure everything's good and we click start upload, and we just wait. It's not super fast, so we just give it time. So if you have a bunch of songs, if you want to cut down the upload time, you can reduce your file size. For example, these files are at 320 quality MP3, 320 kbps. You can reduce them to maybe 120, so it's going to be the same song, just going to be a little bit lower quality. I don't think they care about quality too much, and 120 should be acceptable. So if you need to save space, you can reduce your quality a little bit of the files. After this finishes, you're gonna hit button on the very right which says click here to complete your submission after uploading all files. So you would click here once all the files are verified to be uploaded. Make sure that there's no errors, and if there are, make sure you re-upload the files so it looks just like this without any errors. Over here you have the option to send your works by mail, and then you just wait for your certificate after you submit all of your songs. Okay, thanks for watching.